Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now March 18th of 2020, and a lot of fans around the world have been very worried about the future of the Star Wars franchise and exactly how Disney and Lucasfilm are going to handle the new Star Wars trilogy of films, as well as their new expanded universe that is actually said to be far larger than the old one that we got back in the 1990s and the early 2000s by George Lucas. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, the one thing that we do know about Disney Star Wars is that it's been very inconsistent, and what I mean by that is that Kathleen Kennedy was the one directly responsible for a lot of creatives leaving specific projects like The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and even The Rise of Skywalker. You know, a lot of production changes, happened for those three Star Wars movies continuously, and we've even seen this with the new Star Wars trilogy with David Benioff and D.B. Weiss leaving, reportedly because they wanted to focus more so on Netflix, but also because they had creative differences with Kathleen Kennedy as well. Now, on top of all of this, writer and director Rian Johnson. This is a very big subject because a lot of fans know the fact that he was the one responsible that created the divide between fans, where you have some fans over here that like the Star Wars movies by Disney and what they have done so far. Then you got other fans on the other end here that really dislike exactly, what Disney did with The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Now, with that being said, what's really intriguing about all of this is that now that both Disney and Lucasfilm are finished with The Rise of Skywalker, they are focused on their new Star Wars universe, also known as their new expanded universe, that is set to introduce new eras and a brand new mythology for Star Wars fans around the world. However, it's explained that the new Disney CEO, Bob Chapek, is making many changes over at Lucasfilm to create a brighter future for Star Wars in general. However, behind the scenes, it's noted that writer and director Rian Johnson has been going through a very frustrating period with his new Star Wars trilogy that was split into 3 separate movies in the meantime by the new Disney CEO, and that his movies are being reshaped by Bob Chapek. It's said that Rian Johnson wants to quit Star Wars as of right now and focus more so on his own films, such as his sequel to Knives Out and other franchises that he is looking to create on his own. It's explained, however, that Rian wants to quit Star Wars, but that the decision to leave that has actually not been made as of yet. Johnson got backlash for The Last Jedi based on how he actually used the character of Luke Skywalker, and how that also affected the Solo: A Star Wars Story box office results that led to the cancellation of over 10 years worth of Star Wars movies. Now, it's said that Rian Johnson also was the one to blame for the Rise of Skywalker box office results not meeting expectations, since many boycotted the movie because of The Last Jedi and even refused to watch the movie a second time, and this is also what led Kathleen Kennedy to losing her creative control over at Lucasfilm in the meantime. Rian Johnson is said to currently be developing his Knives Out sequel, while Lucasfilm figures out what they want to do. So, I don't know if you guys have been following, but the new Disney CEO, Bob Chapek, split the Rian Johnson trilogy into 3 separate Star Wars movies, where they're all going to be separate films now. Now, the concept of Rian Johnson getting a trilogy, keep in mind that this was all Kathleen Kennedy's doing. This was not something by Disney's Bob Iger at the time. This was not something that was predetermined by other creatives over at Lucasfilm. This was all done by Kathleen Kennedy strictly, and that she actually did this before The Last Jedi even released in theaters. You guys may remember the earnings call by Bob Iger where he announced the Rian Johnson trilogy in November of 2017. And since that announcement, nothing really developed. It was a very interesting subject because, well, once the movie came out, there was a lot of backlash. There was no development on his new trilogy. Rian Johnson kept on, pretty much saying that it's still on for 2.5 years straight throughout 2018, 2019, and even most of the first quarter of this year of 2020 and more. So the thing about Rian Johnson, right? When you look at him as a person, as a writer and a director, you can see that he's not best suited for Star Wars. Now, sure, he's geared more so to his indie style movies like, Looper and Knives Out. That seems to be Rian Johnson's place. He's not meant for Star Wars, at least in my book. Now, when we look at Rian Johnson here in particular, it really does mind-boggle me as to why Kathleen Kennedy even gave him a trilogy in the first place. It almost seems like that she really went to conclusions way too fast that this movie was going to be a smashing success and that it was going to be by far the best Star Wars movie, and it really ended up the complete opposite. Now, some of you out there may very well disagree with me on that. That's fine. You know, some of you, I'm sure, love The Last Jedi and believe it's the best Star Wars movie either ever or out of the entire Disney sequel trilogy. I, however, think it's the worst Star Wars film, even more so than The Phantom Menace. That's just my take on things, and that's just where I stand. So, with that being said, guys, you know, like I say, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.